And welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pache. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on, bringing you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. One of those big headlines that came out today, we learned that the Pentagon announced that they are investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona over possible breaches of military law after the former Navy pilot joined a handful of other lawmakers in a video that called for troops to defy illegal orders. This is part of a statement from the Department of War, putting this out, saying the Department of War has received serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice and other applicable regulations. A thorough review of these allegations has been initiated to determine further actions, which may include a recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring a due process and impartiality. Further official comments will be limited to preserve the integrity of the proceedings. It goes on to say the Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to the UCMJ for applicable offenses and federal laws such as 18 U.S.C. 2387 prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Any violations will be addressed through appropriate legal channels. So we want to continue to obviously talk about this big story. I want to bring in our next guest to help break it all down for us. Mike Brest joins us with the Washington Examiner, reporter on the defense. Mike, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now. And first, what else you tell us here about this active investigation that was just announced today?
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. And so this was a seminal moment in this whole sort of ongoing situation, this storyline, because there was the possibility that there wouldn't be a lot that came from it. But the announcement of a review into Senator Mark Kelly is somewhat of a big moment because it shows that the story will continue moving forward. And so, as of this moment, he is the only one of the 6 Democratic lawmakers who participated in this video who is under investigation. And the secretary explained that he's the only one at this moment who, of the 6, is still eligible or still has to follow the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And so that's the reason we're talking specifically about him and not all 6 of them.
And Mike, what does a timeline look here for this investigation through the Department of Defense?
So it's still early. They obviously just announced it earlier today. And so it's unclear exactly how long this type of review could take, or who is even leading it is still unclear at this moment. And so we're in just the early hours of this, and we can expect more information here and there from the department as this gets underway.
And for the defense of Mark Kelly, how will this differ for people that might not know? This, of course, won't be through the traditional channels of a court, but a military court. How does that differ? How will his defense differ? Maybe if you could gear us into that as well.
So this is not any sort of, as you said, proceeding in a regular court of law the way people think of it, the way you and I would if we were under investigation or under arrest. And so under the UCMJ, there will be a whole review process where he will eventually have the opportunity to give his side of the story if he chooses. And so this is something that could play out over an extended period of time.
I also want to show some of the statement from Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, putting this out on X, saying the video made by the seditious 6 was despicable, reckless, and false, encouraging our warriors to ignore the orders of their commanders undermines every aspect of good order and discipline. Their foolish screed sows doubt and confusion, which only puts our warriors in danger. 5 of the 6 individuals in that video do not fall under Department of War jurisdiction. 1 is CIA, and 4 are former military but not retired, so they are no longer subject to the UCMJ. However, Mark Kelly, retired Navy commander, is still subject to the UCMJ, and he knows that. Pete Hegseth goes on to say, as was announced, the department is reviewing his statements and actions, which were addressed directly to all troops, while explicitly using his rank and service affiliation, lending the appearance of authority to his words. Kelly's conduct brings a discredit upon the armed forces and will be addressed appropriately. So those were the statements there from Pete Hegseth. I want to bring in Mike Brest in once again. What are some of the charges that could be against Mark Kelly, and what could that look like? Could his rank be thrown away? What are some things that could be looking at Mark Kelly if it goes through?
So the specific charge is about interfering with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. I'm not an expert in military law, so it's unclear exactly the scope of potential punishment should he be found responsible for engaging in this type of conduct. But one thing that I found very interesting is that, and as you read the Secretary's statement, he specifically referred to them as the seditious six, and was pretty explicit in his frustration or condemnation with Senator Kelly. And it will be interesting because Secretary Hegseth is a part of the chain of command structure. And so it seems to me like this statement and statements from the president are things that the senator will be able to use to his defense when the time comes for it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And yeah, it's such a good point as well. We will see what the next steps are for Mark Kelly and beyond. But thank you so much, Mike, for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. And before we go here on Live Now from Fox, I do want to show you the statement that Mark Kelly did put out on X, saying, I swore an oath to the Constitution in 1986. I've upheld it through 25 years of service and every day since I retired. If Trump's trying to intimidate me, it won't work. I've given too much to our country to be silenced by bullies who care more about power than the Constitution. So again, we wanted to bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox. We'll keep an eye on the story and bring you any updates along the way.